Good morning from Adswood. It's May 2026 and the garden has had some renovations, some changes made to it. So in places it's not at its best. But I went round the garden a few days ago and took some footage of the flowers that are out, the borders, and I thought I'd just show you the state that the garden is in now. Quite a few things need to be developed, but there is some nice colour in the garden and I thought you might be interested. One mistake I made when I was filming by the pond, I described a honeysuckle as a Belgian honeysuckle. That's not correct. It's a Dutch honeysuckle, Belgica. I can't do the footage again because we have two blue tits there in and out of the nesting box feeding their young, and I didn't want to disturb them anymore. So have a look, see what you think, and enjoy. Bye. A couple of years ago we discovered that the hedge between our garden and the next door on the left had started to become diseased, and it was a honey fungus and it was moving up the whole hedge. So I had most of it taken out, but I left some at the top end here that seemed to be okay. Well, because it was so bulky and didn't really go with the rest of it, a couple of weeks ago I decided to have it replaced with this fence. And I've also bought this archway so that when you come down the side of the house you can actually see down the long border. Now, I haven't worked out what exactly to put in there yet. I wanted it to have a wow factor, and we are going to get a planter to put in front of the trellis and fill with colour, but at the moment it's anything but a wow factor, I'm afraid. The long border has quite a lot of colour. Some of that colour has gone and some coming out. The geums are particularly good, and of course we have Welsh poppies. These Welsh poppies self-seed. They self-seed everywhere, no matter what your colour scheme. If you have a blue border, they will appear, and given that they are either yellow or orange, they clash, but I leave them in because they're free and they're bonny and lift the spirits. We've got some, I think this is one of the granny's bonnets that's about to come up. There's quite a lot of blank space at the back of the border because we haven't fully planted it. I've got a number of large clumps of perennials in the long border that need cutting back or digging out because they're getting too big. That's a choisier near the front. Some honesty. Lots of fresh greens at this time of year, which is nice. And this is an azalea mollis. Now this is a clematis that is a herbaceous one, and it grows to an incredible height. It's a new Hendersonii, and I've put some rings there, and I've got some string to try and persuade it to bend down and grow along the rings. If it goes too tall, it would just get snapped by the wind, but also we wouldn't really be able to see the flowers. So I do this every year. It's next to a Cornus Cusa, which has, I think it's Milky Way, that variety. That has the beginnings of the flowers about to come out. And on this archway, it looks fairly blank at the moment, but growing up this side is lavender twirl. Now, I've pruned lavender twirl back a couple of times to get more flower, so that will be coming out in a month or 6 weeks. and next to it is a very dense, it's a combination of a crabapple and honeysuckle. The birds go in and out of there, and I think they nest in there as well sometimes, but I can't see any nests this year. And on this side we have some Clematis Viticella, which will come out later this year. This is Cornish Spirit, and a rose. The rose is Wollerton Old Hall. On this border behind, I try and keep it as blues and purples and things like that, but as I said before, these Welsh poppies they arrive, they grow where they want to grow, and they're very welcome. The last of the Clematis, the spring Clematis, this is Ros Kelly, looking quite sad, but there are a couple of flowers that are still okay. Ros is one that I grew from seed, and it's a very gappy Clematis. When it comes out, the sepals are twisted. I think it's quite different to any other Alpina that I've seen. Perhaps it would have some commercial interest, we'll see. And these Clematis have well finished flowering. On the back here, because the herbaceous border gets so tall in the summer, there's little point in me putting late summer flowering Clematis, because you wouldn't see them. So what I have planted on here are spring and winter flowering Clematis, because they will flower when the long border is not as tall, and we will be able to see them, and they'll hide the fence, which is not particularly attractive. We have a metal fence that runs across the garden at a slight angle, and this plays home to some climbing roses and Clematis. And here's one of the remaining spring Clematis, Amber, which is still going strong. It dots its flowers amongst the roses and this rather dense honeysuckle here. Clematis further down will be flowering later in the year because they're Viticellas. This border used to be full of shrubs, this side border, but when we had the summer house built, we realised that we needed to see something more interesting out of the side window. So we removed all the shrubs, and we've planted a number of perennials, Clematis and annuals that will provide some colour at different times of the year and some interest from that window. This peony is Bowl of Beauty, and as you see has lots of buds that will come out early in June. And we have some alliums, Clematis. Now we did have Clematis growing through shrubs. When I took the shrubs out, we still had the Clematis growing, so I've had to be a bit inventive about trying to create things that they can scramble over. The Clematis had to be severely cut back when the shrubs went, but they're re-emerging now. And this is a Viticella. This is Purple elegans, Purpurea plena elegans, and this will grow along this cane and up to the next obelisk, which at the moment is being occupied by Guernsey cream. That's a fabulous Clematis. It's so reliable. The flowers are really big. We've got Clematis and climbing roses on this fence. Here's another Clematis about to do its thing. And I've got one on this obelisk that I've made out of canes, and I've lost the label for this, so I'm not quite sure what it's going to be. I'll have to add a label when it comes into flower and I can recognise it. Another herbaceous Clematis, which is much taller than it was last year. I'm going to have to put a bigger obelisk around it, I think. So as you see, the plants on this fence are more well established. And this middle border is mainly roses, but again I've taken the opportunity of putting clematis with them, and that's growing quite tall, but it will start to scramble down amongst them rather than continue to just put on some height. Now this is one of the Raymond Everson collection of RHS gardens, and I did have all of them, but I don't now. This is Hyde Hall, producing a lot of flowers, and I must admit it's a very nice clematis. The one I've lost is Wisley, which I had for many, many years. Whether it will come back or whether it's died completely, I don't know. But Wisley was one of those clematis that proved impossible to take cuttings from. So I'll be sorry if I've lost it, because it's no longer commercially available, I'm afraid. One of the nicest clematis in the collection of RHS gardens is this one. This is Harlow Car. This has been in this position for over 10 years. It never fails to flower. It's very prolific because it will flower for a long period of time and will scramble along the trellis that I've put either side of it. It's got a lovely deep purple flower, and you will see it later in the year. Some more Welsh poppies by the fish pond here. This year we've covered it in some mesh, some black mesh. You can't really see it very much, so it doesn't spoil the enjoyment. But we've had to do this because we get visited by the local heron, and this is the only way, effective way I've found to protect the fish. On the side fence here we've got a Belgian honeysuckle. It's taken over from a couple of spring flowering clematis. And against the house wall, you may recall last year that I did a video with my son-in-law where we cut back this Montana very severely, and it's been beneficial because it's producing even more flower this year. It's only just coming out, so you can't see the amount of flower that there's going to be. This is Broughton Star, and with it is a white clematis which is grown from seed that I got from Val Lemaine Neville Parry, seed which came from Hergest Croft in Herefordshire. So I've called this clematis Hergest Croft. You don't prune Montanas before they flower because you would lose this year's flower, but by all means, if they're getting too big for the space you want them to occupy, cut them back in May immediately after they've flowered. This is the other side of the central border. It's full of colour. This is one of the Azalea mollis which is going over, but it's providing some fantastic perfume even now. And this one's just coming out, a lovely coral pink, which I think goes really well with this Acer, which is getting huge. And over the top in the background you can see yet another Azalea mollis. Well, it is Montana time, and this is Maylene scrambling up over the Pergola, and it's gone round the back of this shrub as well. It's a nice flower. It will grow for well, it'll grow a number of meters, so there's plenty of room along this pergola for it to do so. And let me show you this. This is Morning Heaven, a late flowering clematis. It's a Viticella. It's growing really tall, and I will give it the Chelsea chop. I'll cut it back probably to half the size, it means that it will produce more flower, and the flower will be lower down, and I'll train it along this trellis. I have another one on the other side, but it's a beautiful clematis, produces hundreds of blooms. Here are some of the current clematis that we have in flowering pots. This is Bee's Jubilee, an early large flowered hybrid. This one's just finished flowering, and I shall take that down and put it at the bottom of the garden again. I grow a lot of clematis from seed. Some of them turn out really nice and some don't. This is one that is flowering for the first time. Rather than give them numbers or other ways of recognizing them, I give them names, even if they're going to be short-lived or not particularly successful. I'm using the names of halls in Northumberland to do that. This is Eshott Hall, I've called it. It's not registered and won't be registered because it's not as interesting, but I'll see if I can make it strong enough to flower every year. This is Dr. Rupel, again another early large flowered hybrid. Tulips are still there, although coming to the end. And these are English bluebells in this tub. I want to keep them separate from the other ones planted in the borders because they're Spanish bluebells. And if you think that daffodils are a flower for just the early spring, have a look at this. This is just coming out. And I have another pot over here. These are slightly further out, and it's pheasant eye. So by planting, it's a bit like clematis. If you plant ones from different groups, you can have a long succession of flower, and we've had daffodils out in the garden since late December. Here is another of the clematis I've grown from seed, early large flowered hybrid, and I've called this Howick Hall. Howick is the home of Earl Grey tea. And another Guernsey cream, this time in a pot. And finally here, I fought against having these for many years. This is a New Zealand hybrid called Avalanche. And I used to, well, I still object to the prices that garden centres charge people for buying them, even though they are spectacular. But the labels never tell you how hardy they are. And some of these are not really hardy for the north of England. So you could spend 20, 30, 40 pounds on one of these plants and lose it. They were originally brought over from New Zealand and grown by the Victorians in conservatories, which did provide some protection from frost. So I put these in the greenhouse in the autumn. The one drawback with that is that if green fly overwinter in the greenhouse, which they often do, these can be subjected to those pests. So I'm afraid I do spray against green fly infestation. So that's the garden at this time of year. The colour palette changes every month, like it will in your garden as well. But as one group of plants go over, another come into their own. Hope this has been enjoyable.